Hello, 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 everyone. It's me, Sia Knight, and welcome to Lessons in Savvy Living. This is the podcast where we have real women sharing their real stories and their real lessons. So today I have a very special guest, Lisa Zaratni, and I could tell you a lots of things about her. However, that's not how I do it. I want Lisa to tell me three things that you think people should know about you before we get started.
Love it. Okay. Number one, I'm a wife, a mom of two middle school kids, and also a mom of two cats that act like toddlers.
Oh, okay.
But I love my fur babies. Okay. The second thing you should know about me is I am a certified stress management coach specializing in productivity and organizing, which in a nutshell means that I help overwhelmed clients declutter their lives inside and out and help them
Oh,
design the habits and the systems that make sense for their values and their personalities and their lives.
oh,
And the third thing I want you to know about me is that my love languages, the actual official love language, number one is acts of service.
okay.
So, do the dishes in my sink, I'll be pretty happy. And the unofficial love languages are Venn diagrams and coffee.
Oh, okay. Venn diagrams. Aren't they nice? Yeah, I'm
Just
like,
the
oh,
circles and the overlap. Yeah, I love that.
love that. Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much. I'm glad that you shared that with us. So now that we can feel like we know you a little bit better when we get into today's topic. And today's topic actually is caregiving. And I know you have a story around this particular topic. And what I'm going to do, Lisa, is I'm going to turn it over to you. And I want you to tell your story, your perspective, and let us know kind of how you were connected with this particular subject.
Okay. When you said caregiving, I was ready to talk about it because I am a former caregiver. And I thought I would wait and not put that as part of the top three because that is really the story that I came here to share with you. When I was pregnant with my son, I moved my mom into our home with us and cared for her for nearly 5 years. So that was through the pregnancy and birth of my son and the pregnancy and birth of my daughter.
Oh, wow.
My mom had Alzheimer's, and this is still a really hard thing to talk about because I like to be positive and I really believe in the gifts that it gave me. But I think it honors both me and those who may be going through it now or have gone through it or will go through it. Uh, when I say this was a dark and difficult time for me, I was pretty much the default caregiver for her and my two children. My husband was going to work. We were running a business together and I was juggling it all. And I remember times when I couldn't think straight. And I was so sleep deprived that I couldn't function. I was definitely in survival mode. And I remember times when the brightest spot in my day was someone remembering me for a moment and bringing me an iced coffee or checking in with me. It was incredible that I had such wonderful, loving people in my life, but I never felt so alone.
Oh, God.
And, you know, I made it through, God willing, one step at a time, one notebook at a time. I was rather organized and I wrote down what I could. The biggest thing though, I let go of so much and I survived. And she did pass on, just shy of caring for her for 5 years. And really, even though that was difficult to let her go in that respect, it was something that I prayed for because it released her.
Mhm.
And then I had the next path of figuring out what my life is not being that caregiver, but still being a caregiver for my children
Right.
and trying to grieve and trying to process all of it. And through that, essentially what I describe now as decluttering my life inside and out. It's what I do now for others. That's what I did. I sat up, I looked around, and I was like, okay, what is life now? What matters? And I took one step and then the next and the next to try to fill myself back up, to take care of me again, and to make sure that my children were still taken care of, but to find that new balance, that new normal, and to find a new purpose. And that's what I do today.
Wow. That story, for me, it hits home. And
Mm,
I know it'll hit home for a lot of women who are listening to this. A lot of women who are in that sandwich generation, taking care of parents in some way, shape, form, and then having children. And then I'm listening to your story. I'm thinking you had a baby and a toddler. Oh my good gracious. That's a traumatizing event for a lot of people in and of itself.
yeah.
Maybe I'm just speaking for myself,
No,
but
me too.
so you had a lot going on, and there are so many people who are going through or who will go through, unfortunately, statistically speaking, having parents who are going to be aging and dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, um, and so you made it. You said one step at a time. Was there any help there for you, Lisa? What did you find to be helpful to you? And if friends wanted to help you, what should they have said or offered?
That is a great question. Okay, well, let's start with the things that I could find that were really my lifelines and what I would recommend to anyone going through this. Number one, I found a caregiver support group. Actually, I first found one through the Office for the Aging, and I would always recommend, no matter who's listening to this, somewhere in the county that you're in, there should be an Office for the Aging. And they are a fantastic resource. So I would say go to them first. And I went to a caregiver support group there. And from there, I found out about one that was specific to Alzheimer's through the Alzheimer's Association. And I attended that. And I am still to this day, many, many years later, friends and connected with those women with whom I went through this. And we supported each other and we lifted each other up. We understood. So I think that's finding people. And I think that's in any situation, whether it's caregiving, momming, which is another form of caregiving,
Hmm.
businessing, all of it is finding those people who really get you. They understand. So that was a huge thing. And then also through the Office for the Aging, there was the like the, it was sort of a daycare in a way
Hmm.
that first you have where the senior centers go and they have lunch together, and and they enjoy and they socialize, and at some point, if they have dementia, Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies, anything along
Hmm.
those lines that may affect the brain and may affect functioning, they can no longer be in that main group, but there may be like a next level group that
Right.
has a bit more care. And there was one for my mom, but this is a small window of opportunity where they have to be fully functioning and they can't have medication. And there's some details, surrounding that you have, and some hoops you have to jump through. But I was able to have her do that, and it was a break for me, as well as an opportunity for her to socialize and to learn and grow and just connect to other people other than me, and
Right.
of course her grandchildren. So those were the big points of help that I was able to receive. And then, as far as what friends could do, I gave an example of, someone stopping by with an iced coffee or picking up a gallon of milk for me. Little things like that.
Acts of
I,
service.
acts of service for me. Yeah, that is my love language. But also in that case, I was trapped at home because I
Yes.
could not leave her. I could not leave the children. I could put them all in the car, but it's still, how even with littles, okay, how tricky it is. You're in the car.
Hmm.
Do you take them in the store with you? How do you wrangle them and all that? So I think, little things like that. And it's not always I love getting specific with people. It's not the, let me know if I can do something for you. It's the, could I bring you dinner tonight? Or do you have, a minute for me to bring a coffee over, or, I happen to know somebody who's great who could give your house a quick clean, or, something like that. And I
Right.
bring those things up because that when you're in survival mode, I think some of those practical things are probably the most impactful. But honestly, just saying, I'm thinking of you. I know this is difficult. You're doing a great
Wow.
job. That encouragement too.
That's great. And I think that's very helpful for people because often people are like, I just don't know what to say. I feel that I'm with you. But I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to offer something that sounds stupid or superficial. So I think those are good examples of actual being specific. That's what I heard. I heard like ask, hey, can I bring you a coffee? And no, but I do like chai. Bring me a
Yeah,
chai tea or what something, and
there you
it
go.
could spark something. But because it is hard when you put it on the person that you're offering, let me know what you need. And if the
Mm,
person's in survival mode, they're like, I don't know what I need right now. I'm just
yeah.
here. So I think that's a brilliant piece of information for our listeners. So I want to know how, because I remember you telling me, or I saw it in writing somewhere,
Mm.
that your experience as a caregiver led you to where you are now. So tell me, how did that happen? What was the bridge?
I think it was the bridge of healing from that experience, understanding it so deeply, and the life lessons that it brought to me, because it puts you in this completely different mode where all the things you thought were important
Mm,
simply aren't. And it life lessons, that's what comes up for me. That was the key point. And as I said, when I came out of it, and the other thing too, I don't believe in living with regrets, but I do believe in living with lessons and thinking about, well, how did that go? And could
mhm,
that have gone differently? And so some of the things that I came out with were that I didn't take care of myself the way I really needed to. And I did it with the best of intentions. So if you're listening to this right now and you are giving so much of yourself that there's literally nothing left, I know your heart and I understand that, but you cannot give from an empty cup. It is
mm,
so critically important that we care for ourselves. And I was able to see that, retrospectively, and like it's always after the fact. What Kierkegaard, there's a great quote about life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. So
oh, okay.
right, my hope is that I can bring that up and say, think about it now, that you not only deserve, you need to take that time for yourself. Yeah, all these life lessons came up for me, and as I started to heal and make these changes, it was so healing for me and for my family. You wouldn't think. You'd say, okay, well, you're telling them, no, I'm not going to do that for you, and yes, I'm changing things around, and there's a lot of impact, but when we heal ourselves, those around us feel it and experience it too.
Right.
So
And then we're also we're teaching people how to treat us as well,
yes,
because and
yes.
I love my children. I love children generally speaking, but children, spouses, partners, they will take as much as you will give.
Mhm. And then keep asking, and
That's
it's
right.
not malicious at all. It's simply that, oh, can I have this? Oh, thank you. Okay, great. Can I have,
Hmm.
and they will
Right.
just, and it's, yeah, you're absolutely right. We teach people, what the boundaries are. We teach people how this works, and we have the opportunity to teach them how to be more independent and self-reliant as
Hmm.
well. So it's the win-win. But yeah, that was the bridge, that healing process, and those lessons that I learned. And as soon as I learned those lessons, my MO has always been like, ooh, I figured something out, I want to
Hmm.
share
Yes.
it. So, and that
So
is,
wonderful. And of course, I love lessons. And that's the whole
that's you.
premise. Yeah, the
Yeah.
premise of this format, this vehicle. So what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned from your experience as being a caregiver and those tough times, those dark days, and those good times? looking in the rearview mirror, what is the biggest thing that you learned?
It was tough to pinpoint it to one word because words like self-care and perspective came up, but I think it's figuring out what really matters. And that, because that fits into all of it, what really matters, that I care for myself, what really matters, that the stuff that we had piled up that I couldn't take care of anymore wasn't something that we needed. What really matters, that our family has time together, what really matters, our health, that's what it kept coming back to. And that actually became sort of a bit of a motto for how I work. That I help people declutter what doesn't serve and embrace what does. That's what I learned, and that's what I help people do. And I use the phrase "make space for what matters."
Oh,
So
I
that
love
that was
that.
my lesson.
Oh, I love
Thank you.
that. I hope is that all over your website or something? That's wonderful. I love that mantra. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so this has been really, really great. And Lisa, I really appreciate you sharing your personal story and how it kind of shaped who you are now, the lessons you learned from it, and how you've spun it into your work now, and you're helping people create space for what matters. That's wonderful. So if somebody wanted to find you on the internets, where would they find you, and why would they connect with you?
Well, where they would find me could be Facebook at Positively Productive, or hanging out on Instagram, which would be positively_Lisa, or just to my website, Positively Productive. And why they would find me? Well, if you've seen my Instagram feed, it's good for some laughs for sure,
Oh, okay.
because we have a lot of fun. There's kids and cats and craziness and memes and just lots of fun and humor and positivity. I was determined to bring positivity to social media when I hopped on, and I have kept that promise. So that and Facebook too is what you'll find, and also tips and tricks and encouragement and guidance and hope. That's what you'll find when you look for me on the interwebs.
Yes, and a lot of people are looking for that. So make sure you check out Lisa. She's got a great story, and she has used her experience and has spun it into something that is now, as you said, it serves you well. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show.
See ya. Thank you. It's been my pleasure, and I really appreciate you letting me share my story. And I hope that somewhere out there it really resonates with someone.
Right. No problem. No problem at all. And that's it, everyone, for this episode of Lessons in Savvy Living. Until next time, stay savvy. Bye.